Imagine you are a doctor trying to save a patient, but you are wearing a blindfold that only lets you see a tiny sliver of their body. You can see a hand or perhaps a foot, but you cannot see the heart or the lungs. How can you possibly decide on the right medicine? How can you know if a surgery is needed? This is the exact situation we face today when we look at the natural world. We share this planet with millions of different neighbors, but for the most part we are living in the dark. We have only met a small fraction of the species that keep our air clean and our water fresh. We are trying to protect a massive complex living system without actually knowing how most of the pieces fit together. It is a race against time because many of these species are disappearing before we even have the chance to give them a name. We feel a sense of urgency to act, but our traditional ways of gathering knowledge are simply too slow for the crisis we are in. We have been looking at nature through a very narrow lens for a long time. Our common understanding of ecology is based on the idea of a single observation. We see a bird in a tree and we write down its name and the date. This is the surface level of how we collect information about the Earth. We treat these observations like a list of names in a phone book. It tells us that something exists in a specific place, but it does not tell us anything about its life. It does not tell us what that bird eats during a cold winter or where it goes when a forest fire destroys its home. For many years we believed that this was the best we could do because watching animals is hard work that takes a lot of time. We assumed that if we wanted to know more, we just needed more people with binoculars spending more years in the woods. This is the hidden assumption we have carried for decades. We have assumed that human eyes are the only way to truly understand the stories of nature. We thought that because a computer cannot feel the wind or smell the rain, it could not possibly help us understand the deep connections between living things. We treated technology as a tool for storing data but not for discovering meaning. We assumed that the huge piles of photos and sound recordings we were collecting were just static records. We thought a human had to look at every single pixel to find a truth. But there is a limit to what one person can see. If you spent every second of your work life looking at the millions of photos we have collected, it would take you 40 years just to finish one database. By the time you finished, many of the animals in those photos might be gone forever. This creates a structural pattern of delay. There is a massive gap between the data we have and the knowledge we can actually use. We are sitting on an ecological gold mine, but we are trying to dig it out with a tiny spoon. We see this pattern in how we currently use artificial intelligence too. Usually we have to spend weeks teaching a computer exactly what to look for by showing it thousands of examples. If we want to find a bird eating an insect, we have to find those examples ourselves first. This means the computer is only as smart as the work we have already done. It is a loop that keeps us moving slowly. We are using modern tools, but we are still following an old, slow way of thinking. We need to reframe our entire approach to how we talk to our data. Instead of teaching a machine to recognize one specific thing at a time, we can build systems that understand language and images together. This allows us to move from a world of searching to a world of asking. Imagine if you could just ask a database a question in plain English. You could ask which plants grow back first after a fire, or do robins change what they eat when it snows? Instead of spending months sorting through files, you could get an answer in a few hours. This turns the computer into a research partner that can scan millions of images in seconds to find the exact moments that matter. It allows the scientist to focus on the curiosity and the big questions while the machine handles the heavy lifting of looking. This perspective changes the way we see every image of nature. A single photo of a zebra is no longer just a dot on a map. It is a window into a social network. We can see the unique patterns on its skin to identify it as an individual. We can see the birds sitting on its back that help keep it healthy by eating pests. We can see the grass it is eating and the other animals it is traveling with. When we multiply this by hundreds of millions of images, we start to see the hidden connections that hold an ecosystem together. We begin to see how a change in one place ripples outward to affect everything else. This is how we move from seeing a fifth of the body to seeing the whole patient. In our daily lives, we can apply this way of thinking by realizing that we are all contributors to this global picture. Every time you take a photo of a bug or a flower in your backyard and upload it to a public platform, you are adding a piece to the puzzle. You might think a photo of a common bird is not important, but for a scientist that photo could be the key to understanding a migration pattern or a change in diet. We are moving toward a future where everyone with a smartphone is a part of a global nervous system for the planet. We are no longer just observers of a crisis. We are active participants in a giant collaborative act of discovery. This is a very hopeful way to look at the world. It suggests that while the problems we face are massive, our ability to see and understand them is growing even faster. We have more tools today than any generation before us. We have a world full of people who care, and we have technology that can bridge the gap between our questions and the answers we need. We can use these tools to build a map of life that is so detailed it helps us know exactly where to put our resources. We can find the knowledge gaps and fill them strategically. This does not mean that technology will save nature for us. It means that technology will give us the clarity we need to save it ourselves. We can start making decisions based on the full picture instead of just a few fragments. We can protect the connections between species, which is the real secret to a healthy planet. The future of conservation is not just in a distant forest. It is in the data we share and the questions we are brave enough to ask. We are learning that nature is even more interconnected than we imagined. Every species has a role and every observation counts. As we peel back the blindfold, we find a world that is vibrant and complex and worth every bit of our effort. We are finally starting to see the heartbeat of the earth in real time. If you knew that your simple photos of local plants and animals could help prevent the collapse of an entire ecosystem, how would you look at the nature in your own neighborhood this weekend?